Do you know why more white women is dying now from heart strokes than black women?
No.
Okay. Because all at once the civil rights movement gave them laws to liberate them. You ever walk down the street and you get to the corner and they got that little indenture for wheelchairs?
Mm-hmm.
That came out the civil rights movement. And we didn't ask for it. They forgot to put for black only, so it covered everybody. A woman couldn't fly a plane before us, civil rights movement. A woman couldn't be a sky cap. A woman couldn't shine shoes at the airport. And then the civil rights movement came through, because before that, you could only be a stewardess, white only, a stewardess. You had to look like something out the center page of Playboy magazine. And because of our movement, you get on a plane now and see an old, ugly, short, fat white woman. We got her that job. That's simple. We got her that job.
I'm here with comedian and actor Kevin Hart. He's got a new movie out. It's called The Upside, which we will get to just ahead in a little bit. But first, we're going to talk about the Oscars controversy. He stepped down from hosting the show when past homophobic tweets and jokes resurfaced. He's been in the news ever since, and something he recently addressed.
We feed in the internet trolls and we reward them. I'm not gonna do it, man. I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna stay in my ground. Regardless, Academy, I'm thankful and appreciative of the opportunity. If it goes away, no harm, no foul.
And after those initial comments, he then tweeted an apology. But the controversy was back in the headlines after he appeared on Ellen last week, leading to backlash and questions surrounding the apology. So on Monday, Kevin addressed the issue on his Sirius XM radio show, Straight from Hart.
Once again, Kevin Hart apologizes for his remarks that hurt members of the LGBTQ community. I apologize. I'm now moving on from this because I'm just hoping that the apology is accepted.
And Kevin, thank you for being here.
Thank
really
you,
appreciate
Mike.
you being here, man. And you apologized. You said you were sorry, but there are a lot of people who've taken an issue to the way that you've apologized. So what do you say to that?
I say I'm done with it. It gets no more energy from me.
They forgot to put for black only, so it covered everybody.
So new tonight, Kevin Hart is apologizing. He actually said he apologized and he said, I'm sorry. Last week, Hart appeared on Ellen, on the Ellen show, where he talked about how he was sorry and wanted to move on from old homophobic jokes and tweets of his. He told Ellen that he had addressed these jokes in the past. But we and others couldn't find any previous apologies, just what he said, that he had addressed them and what some saw as excuses. And on Friday, I talked about how Kevin could turn the situation around and step up as an ally for people in the LGBT community. Watch this. Many of us really need to keep the conversation going. It's life or death. And someone like Kevin Hart, with one of the biggest megaphones in the world, can be a leader, the ultimate change agent. He can help change homophobia in the black community. Something Kevin's old Twitter jokes addressed, but in the wrong way. So, and before I go on with any of this, this is not coming, I'm not coming for Kevin, okay? This is just, we're trying to learn and have a dialogue and a conversation here, because when talking about this story on this program, I asked Kevin to reach out to me. And guess what? Over the weekend, he did. He called me. We spoke at length. We spoke for over an hour, and then we talked after that, and we texted or whatever. But it was mostly an off-the-record conversation because I wanted him to be honest with me, and I just wanted us to just talk to each other and to listen. So as a journalist, I have to abide by that, but I can't say specifically what we talked about, but I can speak in some generalities. That was our agreement, okay? So I'm not going to tell you specifically exactly what he said, but I can tell you about the overall tone of the conversation and some of the issues that we covered, okay? And that, again, that was our agreement, so he knows that I'm going to talk about this. So I'm not going to make excuses for Kevin, but I just want to explain to you where he is coming from. And what he said tonight on his Sirius XM show will help me do that. Listen.
I understand why people are hurt. I understand what these words mean. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said it again when I stepped down. I apologize. I wrote it. I said it. Right? I know I did. These weren't words that I said to gay individuals. This is wrong now. Because now we're in a space where I'm around people of the LGBTQ community, and I'm now aware of how these words make them feel and why they say that shit hurt because of what I've been through. So then we say, hey man, as a group, let's erase this shit. We don't talk like this no more. Hey, let's not do this. We don't post shit on social media, and more importantly, within my comedy act, I'm gonna make sure that I don't do anything else offensive.
Look, you may not like the way he said it, or whatever, but he said it there. He did say, I'm sorry, I apologize, we shouldn't be doing this. He says that he understands why his words hurt and what they mean. I get it. Look, I get it. Many people grow up in situations where they might not come in contact with someone who is openly part of the LGBT community. But trust me, you come in contact with people who are gay, they just don't tell you. And part of the reason they don't is because they fear the backlash and what people, the stigma and what people will think of them or say about them, or they'll be ostracized. Or people grow up hearing that it is wrong or sinful to be gay or transgender. And sometimes it's a tough lesson. But a lot of people learn that what you can and cannot say about someone who is LGBT, that it can be hurtful. I got to be honest. If Kevin means what he says, what he said on that radio show right there, then he is learning that lesson. In that commentary, he said he's not homophobic. This is what I wanted to get across to Kevin, okay, even in our conversations, that there are levels to homophobia, just like there are levels to racism. You can be, you don't always have to be the starkest example of what it means to be racist or what it means to be homophobic, or you don't have to be homophobic to make homophobic statements.
They forgot to put for black only.
Well, there has been some controversy surrounding the Women's March organization. And Tamika, you came under some fire for your relationship with Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. Now, he's known for being anti-Semitic, for being homophobic, but you do attend his events, and you posted, I believe, a photo together calling him the GOAT, which means the greatest of all time. And you are running an organization that says it fights bigotry. Do you understand why your association with him is quite problematic?
No, I think it's important to put my attendance, my presence at Savior's Day, which is the highest holy day for the Nation of Islam, in proper context.
Okay.
You know, as a leader, as a black leader in a country that is still dealing with some very serious unresolved issues as it relates to the black experience in this country, I go into a lot of difficult spaces. I wrote a piece immediately following the beginning of this controversy, talking about wherever my people are, that's where I must also be. So I also go into prisons where there are people who have been convicted of heinous acts. And I am trying to help people to move from wherever they are today and build that unity to bring them to a place where we live in a more fair and equitable society. And I think that work is not easy for everyone to understand, but it's certainly work that I'm committed to. And everywhere that I go is difficult. The Women's March was very difficult. I met with a lot of women who did not even understand why race was important to be a part of the conversation as it relates to women's rights issues. And there was a lot of, offensive rhetoric that I heard. And, and just because you go into a space with someone does not mean that you agree with everything that they say.
But let me push back a little bit. Why call him the greatest of all time?
I didn't call him the greatest of all time because of his rhetoric. I called him the greatest of all time because of what he's done in black communities. And I think that,
They forgot to put for black only.
Reform bill We need immigration reform, period. The number of people who are waiting and how long they're waiting, it takes too long.
The costs associated.
All of it. And when you talk about border security, it's the way in which you go about border security. We need border security at the northern and southern borders. We need land, ports of entry, seaports. We need all of that secure. Whether we're talking about from terrorism, from people coming in and not just seeking asylum, just seeking entry illegally, of course. But the ways in which you control that narrative and talk about it factually is very important. I think the other thing that folks have to remember, it's become a wedge issue for Black and brown communities, and I'm struggling to understand why Black folks don't understand that we are immigrants too, right? There's been a big myth that this is just a brown issue, and it's not. It's Black and brown, and Asian, and white.
Do you think
that came out the civil rights movement? And we didn't ask for it.